Hello and welcome to another edition of The Nation This Week. You're with me, Elane, Abdullah. And in this edition, I speak to SHIEN, President of the University of Malaya Young Leaders Association. Kira Yusri, co-founder of Undi 18, is meant to join us, but she couldn't make it. So we have AESLINN Noel, also from Undi 18, joining us today. Thank you for sitting in for Kira. Welcome in, guys. Now let's get straight into it. We're in the thick of things. G15 is just round the corner. It's not long from now. But before we go into all that, I'd like to cover, of course, the news that made headlines this week. We're talking about the UK's Prime Minister, so I'll cover a little bit on that first. RISHI Sunak, UK's new Prime Minister. In the UK on October 24th, RISHI Sunak became its first Prime Minister of Asian descent after he was confirmed as the new leader of the ruling Conservative Party. Now, I'd like to get the thoughts of the table around, with not tables, so we just seats here. Perhaps we'll start with SHIEN. What are your thoughts on the election of or the appointment of the new Prime Minister of the UK?
I think this is a decision that should be laudable and welcome because it's we can see a youth leader, still considered a youth, I guess, 42 years old, to become a Prime Minister of UK. I think in Malaysia, hopefully we can producing more holistic youth leader in university, starting from the ground. And also we hope to see more capable leaders in terms of their merits, their background, their education, and they should have a vision for the future. For example, as you can see in the inauguration speech by RISHI, he talked about how he's going to do the best for UK. And also he's the first of Hindu and also of races become the UK Prime Minister. So I think this is something that maybe Malaysia can follow step in terms of this. We based on their meritocracy, hopefully.
Now it sounds great. The youth leaders are stepping up, and we're hoping from your sort of line of generation as well, will be, putting a foot forward. AESLINN, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, first of all, thank you for having us on the show.
Please.
I think it's great that there's representation going on. He's the first Prime Minister of the UK of Asian descent. I think in Malaysia, we could definitely follow that example. We have so much diversity here. We have so many races, but we still only see Malay men on top. Why is that? So I think it's a great example to follow. I think hopefully the UK goes into a period of more stability here onwards. They've been changing prime ministers as much as we have.
Yes.
So, yeah.
There's sort of a parallel that's happening in the UK and in Malaysia in the last couple of years.
I was joking with my friend about it, and she said it's reverse colonialism. Whatever happens here is happening over there as well. So,
but it's no easy sort of task at this point of time. It's volatile at this point of time. He has got quite a lot on his plate. Of course, there's some points. Of course, speaking about representation, Liz Truss was, of course, a previous Prime Minister that stepped and resigned after 6 weeks, stepped down. In the leadership contest, Sunak, of course, did some really good maneuvering. He garnered support early, and that was key for him being able to take on the position that he is in right now. And including MPs that previously backed Truss or Boris Johnson, he managed to gain the support. So it's creating that support system as well. And Britain has to restore its international financial credibility after, of course, a lot of damage that had been done when Liz Truss planned for unfunded tax cuts and a costly energy price guarantee that spooked the bond market. This was last month, and forced, of course, the Bank of England to intervene. So there's a lot to be done with regards to balancing the budget shortfall made worse by the rising borrowing costs that the crisis has caused. And the next Prime Minister will most probably have to oversee spending cuts and tax rises, and a fiscal statement addressing this is due on October 31st, so there's lots to look forward to in the coming days. October 31st is just around the corner. This is next Monday, so I think there's a lot for us to. Any thoughts on this with regards to, on the youth front, any word with regards to, what the conversation is? AESLINN, let's start with you.
Could we go? Do you want to speak first? While I just gather my thoughts.
I think the UK Prime Minister should now focus on the economy and also how to revive the economy after we're having a serious impact due to the COVID-19, as you can see. So this is more to post-COVID, and as you can see, some of the issues are closely related to the people, can also be found in the global risk report issued by the World Economic Forum. So, for example, social cohesion, and also I think for now, for RISHI, I think his priority is to gain back the confidence of the people, and also to trust, have faith in his leadership to steer the nation to a greater height, maybe to establish more initiative for the people, to attract more FDI, foreign direct investment for UK, and also to have a close bilateral, multilateral relation with other nations, maybe EU, with Malaysia, etc. In order for them to consolidate their efforts to go through this pandemic. So
especially with Brexit looming as well.
Yes.
Any thoughts on this?
I think he's covered it perfectly, but I just like to say that, you know, with the death of the Queen and everything, he does have a task before him to get the trust of the people and to really prove that he can build the nation back after the pandemic.
There's a lot on his plate,
yes.
and the world is watching, and we
Yes.
will also be continuously following up. Now, we'd like to cover the first topic of our conversation that you'd like to highlight, Sanjin. What do you have on your mind this week?
Yeah, I think I would like to highlight the issue that some parties, I think both the parties are talking about, they want to appoint PM from the Semenanjung for the Peninsula Malaysia, and also another one from the Borneo states. So this is about the appointment of Deputy Prime Minister. So some are saying that the manifesto of having the Deputy Prime Minister in the manifesto is actually a political token, or more to a political bait to actually attract voters from the Peninsula and also the Borneo states. And some are saying that this is actually a step or an initiative to give the real power, de facto power, to the Sabah, Sarawak, and also the Peninsula. So for me, as I can say, actually, I just want to give a brief background about Deputy Prime Minister appointment in Malaysia. As you can see, Deputy Prime Minister in Malaysia is actually a constitutional convention. It's not formally stated in the constitution. As you can see, like in previous administration, Deputy Prime Minister are normally appointed from the political background as to give them a position for them to serve the people, and also to chair the cabinet meetings, and also to represent the PM in the absence of the PM. So as you can see in the past administration, all we are having the DPM just during the Muhyiddin Yassin time, and also during Ismail Sabri, they don't have any DPM. And also during Ismail Sabri era, we can see that there are actually 4 senior ministers. And according to an interview during 21st August by the Prime Minister Ismail Sabri, that caretaker Prime Minister, is talking that the 4 senior ministers are actually having the same or similar protocol and also the privilege just as the Deputy Prime Minister. So as far as I'm concerned, I think actually the appointment of Deputy Prime Minister is a good way actually to give more power and also to recognise the Borneo State as equal partners with the Peninsula. So this is also enshrined in our constitution and also Malaysia Agreement 1963. But we should not regard the Deputy Prime Minister as a rubber stamp, or just for them to like having some protocol, having a bodyguard, or etc. But we should give them a real power, especially to govern the country together with the Prime Minister. So I think this is an essential step. And for the numbers of Deputy Prime Minister, I think it will we can decide based on the suitability whether we really need the Deputy Prime Minister, and also to distribute their tasks diligently, and also talking about what they can do, because we are having so many ministry, right? So we need to see how is their portfolio going on, and also whether how many numbers are depending on our financial situation also, whether we can give them salary enough. Yeah, so that's all for my thoughts. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, I think as Malaysians, what we're looking forward to is meritocracy, someone who is going to be able to represent us and steer the country in the right direction. Aisyah, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I think with all the talk of having 3 deputy prime ministers, I think people have been very focused on the fact that it would eat into the budget. And while I agree, because we know that ministers in Malaysia are paid quite a lot, I think my thoughts are, if we were to appoint more than 1 deputy prime minister, why not have them be diverse? Why not have a woman deputy prime minister, somebody of different ethnic backgrounds? That way you would ensure that the advice going to the prime minister and the cabinet would be made up of people who are really representing the citizens.
Yeah, we're still seeking diversity here. I think this is something that it's high time. We are Malaysia.
Yes.
We are Malaysians.
Yes.
And I think it's and we have so many faces and so many cultural sort of differences, and bringing it to sort of like the leadership with regards to the governance governments and administration would, I think, be able to translate a lot into, whatever policies that will be implemented.
Yes.
And I think Malaysians are ready. It's high time. And I'm sure the youth feel the same way. What's on the ground? What's the conversation on the ground that you hear, SHIEN?
I hear that people are agreeing to having a deputy prime minister as to assist the nation, because the prime minister may be having too many duty and tasks to handle. So I think having a deputy prime minister is good. But as what we discussed, hopefully we can see a reflection of our national population and also races. So maybe the deputy prime minister can come from different background, multiracial, multicultural, so as to ensure the policy formulated are comprehensive, holistic, and able to cater to the needs of people. And what I would like to advocate for is actually the approach of the whole of government and also whole of society approach, which means the government should actively approach and also engage with the ground, with the grassroots, and also with the people to understand their needs, and not formulating any policy to the whims and fancy of someone or themselves. So they should be proactive, I think, in terms of approaching the people, and also make sure the policy is people friendly.
I love hearing from the youth. I'm loving hearing from the both of you. But we will take a short breather right now. When we come back, we'll come back with some stories as well as your topic of conversation, AESLINN. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello, thanks for staying with us on The Nation this week. You're still with me, Elane, Noor, Abdullah. In the studio, I have two young representatives here. I'm speaking to Lin San Shien. He's, of course, the president of the University of Malaya Young Leaders Association. And next to me is AESLINN. She's representing Undi 18. But before we talk about Undi 18, the youths, and I think you have a topic conversation for us today as well, let's cover GE15, the new candidates. Now, with the youth next to me, it's a lovely sort of conversation to bring up. Many political parties are starting to drop their incumbent elected representatives to make way to new faces. I think this is good news indeed. There's a call for fresh faces as well as professionals rather than full-time politicians. So, guys on the ground, what are you guys hearing from the ground and from the young ones? Perhaps your thoughts first, AESLINN.
I think there's been some sentiment of people who are disappointed that they won't be seeing familiar faces. I think we've all gotten used to our beloved MPs, to seeing them in Parliament, to engaging with them. And I think there's some disappointment and a little bit of maybe fear because we don't know the new people and we're not sure if we can trust them. But I think it's a good move on behalf of the political parties to field new faces. This is what we've been calling for more representation, for more youth, for more diversity in the candidates. And so I'm really glad to see that not just one party but across the board they are starting to field new faces and to put in new candidates. I just hope that with these new candidates we'll see more women candidates to have more representation, and I hope that not just they won't just be token candidates, but they will be given enough funding and resources to be able to win the seats that they're contesting for.
Now's the time. So that's been called, right, for new faces, fresh faces. And if this is not the opportunity given, of course the familiarity is comforting.
Yes.
You know what to expect, but what's been done is done. Now, we need something new, something to open up the opportunities for different people to bring something to the table. And SHIEN, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, if we take a look at the Daftar Pemilih or the registration of the electoral, so actually we can see that the youth voter that is of the range of 18 to 20 years old is actually 1.4 million, which is about 6.6% of the total voter of about 21.1 million. So actually we can see the youth voter is actually playing a significant role in determining who will be the wakil rakyat, or we call the representative of the people. So I think the new faces is actually something that we should be happy. But of course, they need guidance, and also I think we should give them an opportunity, because we always say that we want to build and also want to produce future leaders from the younger generation. But in order to produce future leaders, we have to build them now. We have to build their capacity. We have to give them a platform to serve the people. And I think actually this a day, as you can see, with the prevalence of social media, I think it's not a problem and issue for the young candidates to voice out for the people, because social media, they can give suggestion, they are open to criticism. criticism, and also opinion by the people. So I think this will be a two-way interactive platform for them, and also they can better understand the needs of the youth if the candidate is coming from the youth segment. So I think this will ensure that the youth voices are heard in both the Dewan Rakyat and also in DUN lah. So I think this is something that we should be happy of, and also I think we should give them a chance at least to serve, and also to hear from the youth representative what they can do for the nation.
I think it's very key that we focus on the character of the people. It's not just, history, background, what they have done before, but the willingness to serve. I think that's what's been sort of the call from the ground, where you're representing the people, you're listening to the people, you are taking feedback, and you have the right sort of frame of mind to be able to digest that and to produce things that are going to be beneficial for the people that you're representing as well. So,
I'd just like to add on to that, if that's okay. I think fielding new candidates is something that's so important, so that we don't end up having an echo chamber in Parliament of the same thoughts and ideas just going around and around in a circle. We have new people to bring up new perspectives, to bring out new policies, to implement things that we didn't even think of, but that would be great for the nation.
Differences of opinion is what we need in order for us to be able to discuss, for us to be able to create sort of that banter, just follow me's are not going to create any change in the coming future. Any further thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we should always agree to disagree. We should celebrate the diversity in terms of the opinions, because when you have a lot of opinions coming in, so actually the candidate or even a leader can think of how to formulate a policy that is, I think, more holistic, as I say. So it's not just doing on its own, but it can get the opinion from the people. As we can see, the previous government, the caretaker government, also having a lot of program to hear from people. For example, the Idea Bina Negara. So it's actually collecting the opinions from the people, and I hope the next government, future government coming soon, we also continue to approach the people to understand what is their needs, maybe about economy, politics, stability, about the living cost. As you can see, all these issues are concerned by the people, so they should always understand the needs of the people.
Now we've done same old, now it's new different. Yes. Let's go to new different. Now let's talk about your topical conversation, AESLINN.
So what I want to talk about today is postal voting. So what we saw in GE14, the previous election, was that there was around 7,000 total postal voters. And when we looked at the Pilihan Raya Negeri for Johor, the Johor state elections, there were also about 7,000 postal voters. And that is significant because it was the same amount of people for a whole election, but just for one state, which showed a huge spike in the interest. And it was partially, I think, due to the amount of campaigning that Undi 18 did. Just engaging with people and letting them know, hey, it's your democratic right to vote. Come out and vote. So now in GE14, we found that postal voting was very ineffective. It took a long time for the ballots to arrive. Some people got their ballots after polling day. And it was a hassle for them to bring them back home. So what we're doing this time is, for G15, Undi 18 is collaborating with 13 student organizations across the world, over I think about 11 countries, in order to bring the postal vote, to bring the ballots back home and to distribute them. So we have this initiative called Vote Malaysia, and what we're doing is just a very aggressive approach on social media of just pushing out the information on how to, that you can postal vote, because some people were not aware that they could, how to register, how to get in touch with your local student representatives to send your ballot home. And I think through this, it's been really eye-opening for me, because I've seen that so many people, Malaysians, they really feel for the country. There's a love for the country and they want to vote, even though it would be so easy for them to say, I'm overseas. I can't vote. It's I can't come back home. But instead, they're so interested. They've been messaging. They're like, how can I send my ballot home? How can I get in touch? It's been really heartwarming to see how much they care. And I think voting is truly a democratic right. It's about owning your citizenship. And I think through this whole process, we've just seen that young people want to participate. Young people want to have a say in the country's future. Our parents, the older generation, have given us the chance to be educated, to spread our wings, to go learn things. And we want to take the knowledge that we have and take this ability that we have, and we want to use it and channel it back into the country. It's great. Thank you for having us on the show to talk about this, because I think it represents the will of the young people to speak up for it and to do something about it. So our postal voting initiative will be working very hard with the student organizations to hopefully bring home as many ballots as possible.
Well done. I'm so heartened to hear that, you know, there's so much interest, and it's great that you're putting the message across so that people really know what to do, because critically, people may want to, like you said, there's intention, but the sort of the roadblocks are the ones that's challenging for them to overcome. They don't know who, don't know where, don't know how. So let's simplify that, the who, what, where, when, why. We'll sort that out. Just send your votes home.
Yes.
Sunshine, any comments on this before we go into your topic?
Yeah, I think postal voting is a good initiative done by UDI 18. This is to bring in as many as ballot to the country, and also to ease the process overall. And also, I think second is to improve the literacy to ensure that people can actually realize their wish to vote, which is actually a responsibility, I think, for all the citizens of Malaysia, as also enshrined in our Article 119 of the Constitution, which is every citizen have the right to vote. And I think this is our responsibility to elect our MP, Member of Parliament, so that they can represent our voices at the federal level, and also DUN for the ADUN.
Now, let's go to the final topic. What else did you want to bring up this week?
I would like to discuss about the Malaysia progress in producing holistic youth leader on world stage. So as you can see, Malaysia is actually doing quite well in producing youth leader. But actually what I want to highlight is actually about the youth leader that is representing Malaysia on world stage. As you can see, at international level, we have a lot of youth leader. For example, Greta Thunberg, who is advocating for climate change. We have Malala, who is advocating for equality of education and also for women. And also, I think Malaysia is doing a lot of efforts and initiative. For example, as you can see, UDI 18 is of course one of the most significant impact, which is we amend the constitution to enable youth to become a member of parliament, ADUN, to vote, and also for the automatic registration. And also, aside from that, I think some people might dispute whether the youth are really should be regarded as a stakeholder, or the youth are just students, or they think youth are just a youth.
There's a lot of comments that a lot of youth are unaware of this. So yes, continue.
Yeah, so I think youth are actually the leaders of today, because actually if you can take a look maybe in campus level, let's say university, right, we already have the election, campus election, which is to elect the MPP or the student representative council, and also in student associations, student bodies, etc. So we are having the democracy practice as early as in the campus, in university. And if you take a look further, in Malaysia, actually the age of the adult, which is according to the Section 2 of the Majority Act, is actually 18 years old. So in Malaysia, 18 years old, you are considered as adult. As an adult, you are empowered to make a lot of decisions related to your life. For example, to take license, you can sign contract, you can enter into uniform force. So I think that youth is actually mature enough to make a decision and to take charge of the nation. We cannot say that we want youth to be leaders, but actually we do not give them any platform. We do not give them a chance to even lead.
I just want to interrupt. There's of course some comments from perhaps older generation that the youth are not interested. Perhaps this is something that you want to quickly touch on. We've got about 2 minutes left. AESLINN and SHIEN.
I think it's unfair, and I think it's irresponsible to say the youth are not interested. I think if the youth are uninterested, perhaps it is because they have not been made aware enough. And I think programs and voter education, things that bring the youth and make them aware that there are things going on that they can be a part of, that there are initiatives, there are programs, there are causes that they can fight for, and you'll see that people are interested.
I look forward to education actually sort of promoting at the younger age to sort of promote the responsibility of this from school, so that the youth are already aware, not waiting for the external sort of factor, and then you'll create that sunshine.
Yeah, so I hope that the youth can actually realize that it's important for them to become a stakeholder of the nation, to contribute the ideas, so as to make sure the youth voices are heard. So for that, for election particularly, I would suggest the APR, SPR to organize maybe simulation of the election process in campus level, so as to enable the youth to understand the process of voting and to appreciate the importance of voting, and also as a citizen to play their role to contribute to the nation.
Yes, it is very important for them to be able to understand that. Now, I'd like to just make a comment that Tun made earlier this week, saying that it's time for the youth to become more prominent in the political field, but their lack of experience works against them. Any quick thoughts on this, guy? Less than a minute.
I think the lack of experience in youth can actually be made up by their enthusiasm, their passion to serve the nation, because this is not something that can be found in everyone. The youth have the patience, have the energy. So this is something that the youth can make up for their lack of experience. And by progress and time, they can gain experience and exposure.
Passion and energy. Ashlyn,
I think
last
that
words.
I think we have many different generations in Malaysia, and I think we should all work together. So what the youth lacks in experience, that's why we have the older generations to guide us, and what the stamina and the enthusiasm that the older generations lack in, we have.
Cohesion, working together.
Yes.
Let's build this nation together. Of course, Tun conceded that the space for youth to shine is cramped by the lack of opportunity afforded to them in Malaysia's politics over the years, which of course included when he was in power. But thank you so much, Sunshine, Ashlyn. I think we thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and we look forward to having more youth voice to come forth as well. That's all the time that we have on The Nation this week. I'm Elane, Noor, Abdullah. We were speaking to Lim Sunshine, President of the University of Malaya Young Leaders Association, and Noel, Communication Officer of Undi 18. That's all the time that we have for now. Bye for now.